Christchurch that the systems that we've been put in place to make this process work, that will be done properly and timely. There's been so much this interest in the way that EQC has been working. Can you reassure people that this will be done better?
Well, I think the first thing we can say is, look, some of the frustration comes because the process has taken time, but we've had to get it right. And I think in the end, you know, when people have a chance to reflect tonight as they're in their homes about what their future is and what the package in front of them is, I think it's better for them to be reflecting on the fact that they've actually got a deal which actually allows them to go and buy another home and restore, hopefully, their equity position. So I, for one, believe that we did the right thing because we absolutely have to get this right, and that's been the work that Tonkin and Taylor have been doing. I think we also need to acknowledge when it comes to EQC that there is literally 350,000 claims on an organisation which has geared up enormously over the last 9 months, and the ongoing major aftershocks add to their work. Will they be able to get good information? I think the answer is yes. These 5,000 homeowners in the red zone will, within the next 8 weeks, get a statement effectively from the government. They'll be able to go immediately to their rateable value and check what that is. They'll start working individually very quickly with effectively their insurers. So that's a much smaller subset than the 350,000 claims. And what we are doing is effectively giving them clarity straight away. And equally in the green zone, they also have clarity now that they can start work effectively rebuilding their property. It's those 10,000 properties in the orange zone and those in the white that unfortunately are in for a bit of a longer wait.
Guys, there's a border between the red zone and the areas adjacent to it. How do you manage tensions there where people are effectively going to be looking towards a wasteland but are not in the red zone themselves? What happens to those properties right on the borders?
Well, I don't think they would see those as a wasteland. I think they will end up being, no matter how long it takes before there is perhaps some remediation, they'll be relatively attractive areas. They're just not able to support a building. There'll be a lot of other opportunities for people to walk on them or other such. But what I would also say is that by striking the government price, if you like, for these properties at rating valuation, and then putting 5,000 people out there looking for another opportunity, it's very hard to say that safe adjacent properties are going to lose value. I think that there is an upside for everybody in this.
Also, the other point is the absolute critical test here, which is the work we've been doing with Tonkin and Taylor, is can the land be rebuilt and remediated or not? In the case of the red zone, it's the belief of Tonkin and Taylor government accepts that advice that that land can't support buildings and would need substantial work, which would take a period of time of 3 to 5 years, if not more. But in the case where some land adjacent is deemed to be able to be remediated, then again those homeowners should feel comfortable that their land actually can support their building and in a way that's sustainable.
How long has the government known that these areas in the residential red zone have to be abandoned or not be rebuilt on? And why did it take 2 powerful aftershocks on June 13 to expedite this announcement today?
Well, I think that's not quite right to say that. We published information Saturday 2 weeks ago indicating what our process was and stating then that we were coming to the conclusion of that process. What June 13 did is throw up some new areas that have to be considered, and they are available to see on your maps. And it also meant that we had to just, I suppose, spend a bit of time on that for a start. So we were trying to quantify once again how big the areas that are most affected were. What we did say to Tonkin Taylor and to Christchurch City Council team and others who've been involved is we want this as quickly as you possibly can. Don't let this event get in the way. And I did put some very tight times on them, as the Prime Minister put on me. So I think I'm grateful that they've responded so well. But as Nick Rogers explained earlier, a lot of this work, vast majority of this work, was well underway before June the 13th.
For a number of people, the option of taking up your offer will be a bit of a no-brainer. They'll probably be on the phone tomorrow or on Monday. How soon will they get their money in the bank?
Look, you've got 5,000 individual contracts that now have to go to people, so it will take some time. But I think the Prime Minister is right when he says that as of today, people will have a very strong idea of what their position is. And so they can take that to lending institutions, they can take it to home and land building packages, they can take it to the real estate market, and they can organise some dates around settlements for other property that would reflect the fact that it'll probably be up to 8 weeks before everyone gets their package. Once they've signed, then it's a very quick transfer.
So 8 weeks before they actually get the physical documents, then that would need to be processed. And
Well, the process will be very, very quick after that.
The government value is the value actually worth now, but aren't they eligible for a compensation? And also the government value was value before a few months before, but how can they use that money to buy a home in the current market price?
Yeah, okay, so if on the best information we have is rateable value as of around about 2007. So we've gone away and had a look at what's happened to the property markets around New Zealand and generally what's been the situation in terms of home values. We believe that that rateable value represents the best approximation of value as it stood at the 3rd of September. A number of things support that. So if you have a look between about 2007 and actually today, the current valuation of New Zealand's entire housing stock hasn't changed in value. In other words, you know, some areas go up and down, some things change a bit, but overall, generally speaking, it looks to be a very good approximation. If anything, actually, you might argue that some houses have actually fallen in value, and that's what some of the data shows. It's not perfect, but it's the best approximation that we have, and it was the most up-to-date information that we had. You know, if someone's made significant improvements to their property post that time, then that's something we can go away and have discussions with them about.
there will be a lot of disappointed homeowners today, though. There's been talk for a while that 12,000 houses would need to be demolished. Less than half of those people are getting sort of a definitive answer today. What would you say to the rest of the people who are still waiting?
Well, I think the first thing is, again, we've got to get it right. And so we're very clear about the position in the red zone. We're much less clear about the orange zone, but I think it's fair to assume that over time some of those properties will move into the red zone and some will move into the green zone. So we need to do more work there. Obviously, the focus of attention is going to go very quickly, as it has been, on that orange zone as we get to go and reclassify that. So I appreciate that we're asking people to have a bit more patience with us. You know, all I can do is go back and say, in the context of everything we're dealing with, we are not dealing with a static set of information and position. We've had, as Jerry said, 28 aftershocks that have measured over 5 on the Richter scale. We've had substantial changes in land movement and ultimately in property damage, both on the 22nd of February and on the 13th of June, and obviously on the first day of the 4th of September. This is an enormous event on an international scale. I mean, as I said in my remarks, it's around 8 to 9% of GDP is the economic impact. We can't find any other natural disaster that has had such a pronounced impact on GDP as these earthquakes. I mean, Hurricane Katrina was 1% of US GDP. Kobe was 2% of Japanese GDP. So this is a major event, and I think all of us, we understand intensely the frustration for those homeowners, and we know that it's a really difficult time for them, but we have to put them in a position where they can get the best information. It's got to be right, and that balance just has to take place.
If there's still 8 to 10 weeks, though, before they can get paid out and before they can leave their homes potentially, will there still be work being done on the infrastructure around there to make the next 8 or 10 weeks far more comfortable than they have been to date?
Well, it's patched up at the moment in most of those cases, and that holding it together will occur, but there'll be no new work in those areas, which is quite obvious. Can I thank you for the time you've given to the Prime Minister, and thank him for being here for this announcement, and for the work that he's also put in long hours trying to sort this out over the last 9 months, 6 months. Can I? One of the very important aspects of this, though, is the communications that now occurs with people who are in this particular situation. And that can't be a one-off situation. We would have preferred to be able to sit down with everybody individually and tell them what the circumstances for them are, but with such large numbers, that is simply not possible. But as we back down through the next period of time, then that will become increasingly possible. So I'd like to introduce Roger Sutton, the Chief Executive of SERA, who's going to outline the sort of communication program that we're looking at over the next couple of days, going on over the next couple of months. Roger.
Well, obviously the first place people are going to go to get their information is from the Land Check website. But from that, if people don't have access to a computer, they can also ring the earthquake information line, which is 0800 77 99997, because that will also have people who can give them that same information as well about which zone their land is in. Further on, starting tomorrow through the weekend, Monday and Tuesday, I'll be attending a series of meetings in the different communities. So we're trying to have a series of meetings here in local church halls, school halls, and unfortunately if we're going to get through people over the next sort of 3, 4 or even 5 days, it's going to have to be sort of 300 or 400 people at a time. So we're putting those up on our website later on today as well. Another thing we're trying to do is trying to get engineers, so geotech engineers who are assigned to a particular zone. So if people have got issues around their particular zone or they're just outside the zone and they want to talk to an engineer, we're trying to have them talking to one engineer so we're not giving different stories out to people, and also so we bring back intelligence about particular issues that perhaps we've missed. And the last thing was, we've worked very, very hard to try and give people good quality information, but the information may have some glitches in it. The people from TradeMe worked through the night on this. Their site's been tested, but it hasn't had the level of testing you'd normally do to a site which contains such vital information, so maybe there's some errors in it. I don't know, for the questions and answers you've got in front of you, I think it says there, for example, that Avonside Girls High is within the red zone. It's not inside the red zone. So there may be some other errors there, and we apologise for those errors, but we're very, very keen to get the information out to people as quickly as we can. So from here, I do see a continuing process of public engagement, of being out there talking to the community in public meetings, and we also, following this round of public meetings, want to try and establish hubs where people can get information at one place from insurance companies, information from building companies, and have the engineers there as well, and also the social agencies are going to be so important at giving people support from here.
Roger, given the Land Check site has already cracked of interest, so much interest, what else can you do to make sure that the people will be able to get this information in a timely fashion?
We're working with a range of agencies to get them the information as well. I'm sorry to hear that Land Check site has crashed. We'd gone to we thought we'd put on some really, really big industrial strength servers, but apparently it had 4,000 hits by 10:30 this morning, when I don't think the name was even public at that stage. So clearly it's a really popular site. I know there's a great bunch of guys there trying to get it back up again if it's not going at the moment.